Hey, welcome back everybody to the Pen Hut. Once again, my name is Tommy, and I wanted to do a really quick topic, a little bit different than in the past. Not really a review or anything like that, but I wanted to talk about how or why I got into fountain pen collecting. I'm sure everybody has their reasons, but I was just going to do a really short video on how I got started, why I got started, things like that. So I guess I've always been a collector. When I was growing up, I collected baseball cards, some football cards, a little bit of basketball, and did that back in the early '90s, which I think was a really good era. Shaquille O'Neal, people like that were just starting out, so that was kind of neat. I did that for a while. I guess a lot of my friends did it too, so I got into that as well. After that, I got into Magic cards. This was probably around high school time, a little bit after that, and I'm not quite sure what happened to all those cards. I did move around a lot growing up, at least 4 or 5 times. Been on about 4 different continents, so things happen, things change. You go to different countries, they have different things that they're into. When I was living in Korea, they were big into electronics, music, things like that. So I bought a few things of that kind of thing. But I mean, my dad did a lot of traveling too. So he has a ton of like different kind of like antiques or things that are unique to different cultures, masks, clocks, all sorts of different things. So I think I always had those kind of vintage and different things like that around me. So it seems like almost naturally that I would get into that kind of thing as well. But you know what? Fountain pens is something that I didn't get into until I would say the end of 2016. And it was just like almost anything else. There's a small little trigger that happens that kind of sparks the interest. Um, I was working actually in Boston, and just having a conversation with my staff. I was running a store out there, and we were talking about something or other, and somehow the topic of pens came up, and I was like, yeah, like a lot of people nowadays, they don't look at pens the same way that they used to back in the day. When you graduated, you'd get a fancy pen, or your grandparents or somebody would give you a pen along the way that meant something. And my employees are all a lot younger than I am, and they never heard of that. I think there was one that was European that kind of understood that a little bit, but it seemed like they don't really do that anymore. So it kind of had me thinking a little bit of like, you know what? Periodically, I buy like a nice cross pen, like a ballpoint or rollerball or something. Every few years, with some of my jobs, you dress nice a little bit, and you want to be presentable, and having a nice pen is always nice too. So you go to Staples or something like that, get like a $29 pen or something around $30, and be like, oh, I just got a fancy pen. Um, so I kind of had like an idea at that time that maybe I'll go try to buy myself a nice little pen. Right around that same time, I had a customer come into the store that owned a stationary type store in the area, and she was saying, "Hey, you know what? We carry all sorts of different things. If you feel like getting a pen, come see me, and come look at some of the options." So I was thinking to myself, "Hey, you know what? I'm doing pretty decent. Might as well buy myself a little something, and we'll see what she has." So I went over there, specifically looking for like cross pens or different things like that, and I actually found that she had a decent amount of fountain pens. Sorry. So she had some Lamis. She had some Schaefers, some Kawakos, and I think she had some Faber Castells and maybe like one or two other brands. But she had a decent amount there and a bunch of inks, things like that. And I was like, hey, you know what? I have a $25-$30 budget. Let me go see what these are about. So I ended up looking at a few of them, and just trying them out. And basically, the thing that was interesting is that all of them had a different look. The safaris are very colorful. It was just really cool. The Kaweco All Stars, I mean, not All Stars, sorry, the Kaweco, what is it called? All Sport, sorry. All Sport or the Kaweco Sport. were really neat. Those are like pocket-sized pens, and actually I have them right over here, which is why I put this here, and I'm not even showing you any pens. So let me grab some pens, so that'll probably make it easier for me to show you guys. So if I recall, I think my first pen that I got was a Safari. Um, so yeah, mind you, there is a little small thing I missed there. That same week that I was thinking about getting the pens, wasn't sure what I was gonna do, and I actually went to a local Staples and I picked up a Cross Callus and a Pilot Metropolitan. I think that was it. Did I pick anything else up? I think that was it. And those were just kind of like what they had available at Staples. Didn't seem too expensive, but I was like, hey, what the heck? Let me check these out. It wasn't until the following week that I went to my customer store, just because I was curious, just to see what they had. So I had those two little pens. Didn't really know much about them or what to do with them, and I wrote with them a little bit, and it was cool. But when I saw all these other options, I was like, oh man, I should have probably gone to the store first. So that's where I ended up picking up a Lamy Safari, not one of these, actually maybe this one, and she gave me an extra cartridge, a couple things like that. We talked about paper, and I think I ended up with like a Rhodia pad or something like that, because she was saying it was going to be much nicer. At the same time, I ended up picking up this little guy here, and then I got another color as well, like right around the same time. And then right around that same time frame is when I met my fiance, and I don't know if she was trying to appease me or thought it was cool because we just got to know each other. But she was like, hey, you know what, whatever. So she ended up getting a pen, and then she also got a Kaweco, and she thought it was neat. Played around with it, and she wrote a lot more than I did. So she was kind of into it too. So that was good. And then after that, what happens? You go back and you buy more stuff, buy more stuff, buy more stuff. So I think I ended up with maybe 3 or 4 Lamy Safaris, and then I got a couple more of these. And then I was like, man, this is awesome. I picked up a couple basic inks. I think I started with Watermans, and those are pretty nice, like the light blue, dark blue, black, just basic colors to start with. My fiance was getting a couple other things. So we kind of started there. And then I started looking online, looking at, different reviews online, different things like that. And I started hearing about the Lamy 2000, the Vanishing Point, and a few other brands, a few other pens. And I mean, at that point, I don't remember how many pens I had. I don't think I had too many. I know this is probably one of my earlier acquisitions as well from Amazon, that I was trying to just get another Pilot pen, a little bit nicer. I just like the color. Never tried it before, nothing, but I ended up getting it. It's a Pilot Lucina. I don't think they make them anymore, but there's still plenty available on Amazon. So I ended up getting that, and I was like, oh wow, this is really nice. And then one day we made a trip to a store that no longer exists, with my fiance, and I had a certain amount of money on me, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to that next step and try to find something just a little bit nicer. And it's kind of funny in retrospect, but I was going there specifically to look at the Lamy 2000. And yes, retail, they are kind of expensive, so if you can find it online retailer or someplace else, they're not too crazy. But so I went specifically looking for that, but I wasn't sure. And then I got in there, and all they had were like Mont Blancs. They had really nice Parkers, Cross pens, all sorts of really fancy pens, and I was instantly lost. I was like, now what do I do? I don't know what I want to buy. They showed me all sorts of different kind of pens, but I was like, ugh, there's so many nice ones out there. They had a lot of other Faber-Castells that looked really nice, and yeah, I had no clue what to do. But at the same time, my fiance was looking around, and she ended up picking up the Lamy 2000 and trying to see how it wrote and everything like that. And they had a pre-owned one, I guess, that open box that somebody had returned on sale. So by the time I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, she actually ended up buying one. And I was a little frustrated because I was like, that's what I went to get, and now you bought it. So now what am I supposed to do? So I ended up picking up a Vanishing Point. That was nice. A similar price, kind of. And went home. And I ended up returning that one about 4 days later just because I couldn't get used to the grip. Mind you, this was very, very early in my fountain pen life. So I think if I got one now, it'd be fine because you just get accustomed to the writing with it a little bit different. The following week, I believe, when I went back to return the Vanishing Point, I believe they had more of the Lamis. So I ended up picking up a Lamy there, the Lamy 2000. And as soon as I wrote with it, I was like blown away. I was 100% not expecting to like it, even though it had a lot of good reviews. I knew it wrote well, but I was like, it looks kind of plain. It's not really my style. And yeah, it's a great, great pen. And, basically what happens when you start collecting is once you go, from like $10, $15 to $50, and now you're slightly over $100, and now you were looking at all those fancy pens everywhere that were in the $200 price range, you're like, suddenly it doesn't seem as expensive. So I didn't go off buying all sorts of, $100+ pens. But when I went on Amazon, I went to other places, I started looking at other brands, looking at reviews for other things. And there's definitely a lot of pens out there that are in the $150 range that you can get, or even cheaper. So I guess just making this a little bit more concise. I'm not just kind of talking and talking and talking. It just caught on. Like it was just awesome. I don't write as much as I would like, but these pens make me want to write more. So I started taking more notes. I take them to work for meetings, different things like that, and I just enjoy collecting them. So even if I don't write with them, if I really enjoy them, the way that they look, I'm going to show you these two here. They're still awesome, and they make you want to write with them. So, I don't try to ink too many pens at the same time, but if given the opportunity, I always have a few that are kind of my favorites. So these two are a couple of my current favorites. They're both Edison's, Edison Colliers. And I got this one online full price, and then I got this one secondhand. Haven't written with it yet, but I really like how that shimmers, that blue shimmer. It's awesome. These are very large pens, and I know about 6 months ago I would have been very hesitant to buy these with the knowledge that I had on pens because they're very big. It took me a long time to really narrow down certain traits of pens that I enjoy. And now I'm like really happy that I know that. So I'm not buying blindly as much. And I did visit a pen show last year, which was a huge eye-opening experience. I learned a lot more about vintage pens. I was able to try a lot of pens that either were out of my price range or were things that I was thinking about in the future I might be able to get. So when possible, try as many pens as you can. Try to find a local pen group or maybe a local person that's into fountain pens and try some of the pens, hold them, see what you think. Don't think about price at the beginning. Just look at like what aesthetically you prefer, what you like, and then find brands or specific pens that are in that price range that you might enjoy, and then just kind of try them out. Most of the reasons I got these pens here was to try them out. They're all very different. This is one that I got at the last pen show, and I wanted to get one of them, which is the Parker Vacuumatic. Which is really nice. I mean, I don't use this a lot, but for my collection, it was something that I really wanted to have in there. And then another one that I picked up that day is this Parker 51 Special. And I wasn't expecting too much of it. Like it does look pretty bland. But I came to realize that this is super comfortable in the hand. And this particular pen is extremely, extremely smooth. Which I really like, and it's just awesome. So a lot of it has to do with holding them in your hand and get what you like. That's one thing that I'm struggling with right this second is reading so many reviews. They tell you, hey, you should like this brand, this model, that model. And yeah, you might want to own one to have in your collection, but you also want to get something that you're going to personally enjoy using and writing. because there's a lot of brands, there's a lot of pens out there, which I realized, and I think that was the other problem and why I got into fountain pens, is that there's so many different options. There's really option for anybody, different manufacturers, different countries, different materials, different size, different weight. There's pretty much a little bit of everything. So, you know, get what you like. You know, if you're a purple person or a blue person or whatever it is, there's tons of pens of that specific color range that you might like. And unless you look online, you're not going to know if the one you found is the perfect one or if there's another one. So initially, try a lot, try to not spend a lot, try to like borrow or just touch and hold different ones. I don't know, but I just love these. I think they remind me a lot of back in the day, you know, what people were writing with 50, 60, 70 years ago. But I also appreciate all the new models and how they're, you know, making the materials a little bit more interesting, changing sizes, using different kind of nibs, and just the variety is really what I really enjoy. So I think for me, there's way too many pens out there for me to get bored with this. I think the spending is probably going to slow down, or I mean, the amount of pens is probably going to slow down. Maybe the pens will be in the pricey range, but you know, get what you like. If it's too much for you to spend, then save up, or maybe sell some of your pens that you don't really use and don't need, and somebody else could use them. But it's just a great hobby, and it's something that I'm going to continue doing. And best of all is you can use these things. It's something that you can collect, but you can actually use it. So use it, enjoy it. Let me know how you got started collecting fountain pens. Thanks.